Hey, it's Candia, Raquel. Welcome to the Sensual Sessions. Today I have a very special guest, Daniel Gelblum. Welcome.
Hi.
And Daniel, he is a Feldenkrais practitioner, also come from a yoga studios background because of his father was a deep researcher of yoga and Sanskrit languages. And I am going to ask him about how to open to pleasure in the sense that in the beginning, like in the most practical level, it can be challenging if you come from a hectic lifestyle or you're just like feeling disconnected from your body. So, Daniel, how is it to work with physical blockages? How do you work this with your students? How is it the first time a student comes to your classes? How is the body?
Okay, well, as you know, well, first of all, Candia, thank you very much for having me. And I think you're doing incredible work. You're basically promoting pleasure and good vibes in a time when the world needs it more than ever. So, big respect for that. So, I'll do my best to answer your question. Um, like I was saying when we had an informal chat before, normally I'll just let my lessons do the talking so people can feel it, because sometimes there aren't the words to describe certain things, but I'll do my best to help with that, and it's very useful. So once I was teaching a class, it was a night in a yoga holiday. I'm also a yoga teacher, but I already at that time was throwing lots of Feldenkrais into my classes to help yoga to become more accessible. But it's very deep stuff because I don't know if the people listening to this know much about Feldenkrais, but when you do what he called awareness through movement lessons, we're lying down and we got to really be quiet, patient, and learn to really listen to ourselves and to confront ourselves. So I was teaching this holiday, and there was lots of lovely people coming. And one lady said at the end of a class that she felt a little bit dizzy. And I was, okay, let's just chat about it and tell me what you do. And she told me, I work in Germany, she was telling me, and I'm a lawyer and I'm a total control freak. And I discovered that that's the word she used. She said, in the class, I discovered that I was not in control in 100%. I was beginning to explore unknown territory, and I was listening more and more. And then I explained, look, with the Feldenkrais method, we finally give ourselves an opportunity to really feel ourselves and to confront ourselves. And this can sometimes be a shock to the system, which could be part of what causes dizziness. She got much better as the week went on. The dizziness went as well. But sometimes we hold ourselves with our muscles in a certain way because we want to control us. Well, we not always, but sometimes we can be scared to open up and let go and to just be, to really be our true, special, authentic selves. So she was doing that for the first time, and it was such a shock that it made her a little bit dizzy. And there's also her head was in a better place. She was standing better, moving better, and she simply wasn't used to it. And with beginners to my classes, sometimes, not always, but it can be like that they suddenly like, oh my God, I'm really slowing down and the brain's thinking at 1,000,000 miles an hour still. And it's not easy to get into your own quiet, special, slow rhythm of being, but it's achievable. And once we get there, we can learn to move faster in life, but without the stress as well. as well as learning to cope with the problems that life can throw away. And I don't know if that answers it a little bit. I don't know.
Yes, yeah, and expands it, like how to that you move faster in life, but without the stress. So
Yeah.
we're talking about efficiency, and you mentioned something very important in regards to pleasure. That in the first moments working with Feldenkrais, for the sensualists that are watching or listening this podcast now, the Feldenkrais method is the method of awareness through movement. So you become aware of yourself through your own movement. And at least in the beginning of my experience taking classes of Feldenkrais, I was like super shocked by just being lying in the floor with no cell phone, no food, no distractions. The teacher wasn't demonstrating the movement, and I found myself very alone with myself, like in the real state that we already live. I mean, we are always are in relation with ourselves and in our flesh, but it can be very confronting, that moment of having nothing to distract with and facing what's really going on in you when you have nothing else. And pleasure, as we're studying it in here in Central de Poder, is a broad definition of simply the pleasure in the body. But we're used to experiencing pleasure through external stuff like food, a movie, a fragrance, sex, or maybe romance, or a fabric, or an intellectual pleasure. But here in Centro de Poder, we are talking about raw pleasure, like the raw pleasure in the body and the experience. And this is why I really wanted Daniel to tell us what to do with that, like how not to go crazy when you are just with yourself, because we want to feel pleasure, not to be freaked out by our own selves. So can be for me, it was very confronting. I was like really tense and like guarding myself from really facing myself. So yeah. What to do? Tell us what to do, Daniel.
I can only give little tips, and we have to discover for ourselves. Yeah. But what's is really interesting, we are really shaped according to society and our habits, and to things that go on around us, and so many things. And it can often cause, it can be useful, and we need habits to survive, but it can also be self-destructive. And I think when you realize that just being yourself, and what is the self as well, we should ask as well. So according to yoga, as I mentioned, as you mentioned, my father was a teacher of yoga philosophy and specialized in Sanskrit. He used to tell me that according to yoga, the self, it's the observer of the observer of the observer of yourself. So with Feldenkrais, what's really nice is the efforts we put into movements which can look like exercise, but it's not. We're doing things gently, and with the physical effort is really minimal. And this maximizes the quality of the movements that we are doing. And then we can tune into our senses more and begin to discover all sorts of connections, interconnections, relationships with our entire self. And we get very deep into really being our raw self, and just being with ourselves, and away from the material, artificial world, you could say, but being the real self. But through this, we can suddenly melt away all sorts of tensions. and which is interesting because during these awareness through movement Feldenkrais lessons, we are observing movements and sensations. We go slowly and gently, and always we're listening and even observing how we listen to how, for instance, forces of movement travel through the body, or we are observing the movements that happen in the body as well as the forces that go through the body. And we can send forces of movement through the body which create tension, or we can send forces of movement through the body which melt away tension.
Yes.
The combination of the two is incredible. If you think about it, just mobilizing some parts of the body, you get the benefits of the mobility to improve your joints and everything. But when you send forces that melt away tension as well as that, it's very powerful. And you're observing it as well. And you're observing how you sense that and tuning into your real self. And you really enjoy being yourself because you're observing lots of pleasure. And these pleasures can build up almost like, I don't want to compare it to money, but like a bank account or something. You're in yourself. So you eventually become like a conductor for good energy, good vibes, pleasure. You conduct it better and it's new better. And the way you move with nature and other people and talk with other people becomes more pleasurable as well. And I hope that answers the question a little.
Yeah, it answers.
Let me show you something, a really good example. Hold on.
Yeah.
Don't know if you can see. This is a lovely client of mine, Michael. This is before we did an awareness through movement session. It wasn't a one-to-one functional integration hands-on Feldenkrais session, but an awareness through movement session. He's got Parkinson's and severe problems with his spine. But even if you look at his face, I don't know how well you can see it with the light here. It's kind of, you can see in his eyes the struggles of life, and in his posture. But at the end of the 45-minute session, his face has changed. His mouth is different. His eyes are different. Distance between his head and the wall is different. And this was just after 45 minutes of him learning to feel pleasurable sensations and just let gravity and the nervous system soak it all up, and it transforms people's lives. Sometimes we could go to our physiotherapist who'd say, just stretch this or hold your head up high, but he can't hold it high because something else is squashed. But because we're in such a deep level of learning about interconnections, he'll feel why his head is so far forwards. And it could be all sorts of emotional things and all sorts of things. But anyway, suddenly we step out of I can't remember whether it was one Feldenkrais teacher who spoke like this. We step off the train of our past. We're, excuse me, we're right here in the present, being ourselves, and just soaking up good, pleasurable, good vibes, basically.
Good vibes, good experience.
Yeah, good vibes or pleasure, however you want to look at it.
Good vibes, pleasure. And
even his wife said he's more pleasurable to be with.
To be around. Of course. Of course, if you're radioactive, you're going to be spreading radioactivity and negativity all around. So pleasure, it's not like something to cash in after you suffer a lot. It's not pleasure. It's not a matter of virtue. It's not about earning it or the outcome of, no. Pleasure is the base. Pleasure is health at a basic level. When you're healthy, it feels pleasurable to be healthy because pleasure is the pure life force running through your body. And it's fascinating what Daniel has just shown us, the effect of reconnecting to this life force, to this good vibeness through sensing in the flesh. That is what the Feldenkrais method does. So can you share with us a little something to feel like that? Maybe.
Have you got 45 minutes? Just something in 2 minutes, something simple.
A little taste, like a candy treat, not the whole cake.
I like cake. Okay. Okay, but okay.
And then you tell us where we can go for the whole cake with you. No?
A nice cafe. Okay. Okay, something simple you can do sitting in the chair. Because we're sitting, well, I don't know, those of you listening where you are, you could be hanging upside down from a tree, but this is something you can do sitting in the chair, which is just very, very, very basic. So come sit on the front of your chairs, close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to just simply feel how your sitting bones connect with the chair. And ask yourself, does one sitting bone maybe touch the chair a little differently from the other? And even if you can't feel a difference, just be with the question. The curiosity will help you. Notice how your feet connect with the floor. And even if you can't feel a difference, ask yourself, maybe does one foot touch the floor differently from the other? And feel the length of the legs from the hips right down to the feet. Feel the length of both your arms from your shoulders right through to the hands. Get a good sense of the length. Be with the length of the spine from the pelvis right up through to the head. And see if you can simultaneously feel the length of your spine, or feeling the length of both your arms and both your legs, feeling how the sitting bones connect with the chair, the feet connect with the floor. And as you do that, check in with your breathing. And simply take lots of good quality time to breathe in, and take all the time that you need to breathe out, letting everything go. Taking your own time to breathe. And as you take your time to breathe, notice where your breathing moves you, what movements flow through you. As much as possible, allow the movements which flow through you to be peaceful and calming and lead you into some tranquility. And as you pay attention to your breathing, can you at the same time feel your length, the length of your spine, arms, legs, feel how you connect with the chair, connect with the floor, and at the same time, be with the space around you. How do you sense the space behind you? How do you sense the space in front of you? And it can be beyond where you are. If you're in the room, it can be going for miles in front of you, or just to the wall in front, if there's a wall there. How do you sense the space to the left side of you? Be with the sensations and feelings that come with observing that. How do you sense the space to the right side of you? Can you sense simultaneously the space all around you, even above you, while feeling your contact with the chair, the length of yourself, and your breathing, and sensing and feeling how and where your breath moves you? And without disturbing your breathing, you can do this with the eyes open or closed, or explore doing a little bit of both. That means not having one eye open, one eye closed, but you can change your mind and open or close your eyes when you wish. Very gently begin to simply just lower your head down. Let the chest fold in. Let your tailbone tuck under. And just let your back become rounded. And then very, very slowly from here, begin to simply lift your tailbone up and feel how one by one the joints of your spine organize in the lower back and begin to go forwards and up, and then the joints in the rib cage area begin to move forwards and up. Gradually the neck lifts, the head lifts, and the eyes lift. And then repeat again. You let go of the weight of the head folds your chest in. One by one, the joints of the spine organize and your back becomes round. And then very slowly again, you gradually lift the tailbone up and make it so soothing that you can make sure it's done in the softest, most gentle, delicate way. Thinking of movement flowing through your bones and joints, melting away tension, also mobilizing your bones and your joints at the same time. And if you're doing it with the eyes closed, try with the eyes open maybe and see how your eyes can help. Maybe you can very smoothly begin to look down as your head lowers down. Relax and moving from the tailbone. Very, very slowly, you lift the tailbone, feeling how the joints of the spine organize one by one as the head gently floats up. And then you can play with it. You can do micro movements, begin to make a bigger movement, do little small movements in different places, playing with how the head and the tailbone can build up a good relationship, a pleasurable relationship with each other. And be inspired by curiosity. Just enjoying this nice little game of your body, your sensing, your observing, to gradually become a master of your movement. It is just one little movement. There's lots of movements in the Feldenkrais method. And just enjoy this lovely opportunity to explore the distribution of effort between the head, the tailbone, and the whole of you. And the next time your tailbone lifts up and you're looking ahead, just from there, just relax in your own time. And when you are in that position, just looking ahead, again, simply close your eyes. Again, briefly feel the length of your spine, the length of the legs, the length of the arms. Take your time to breathe, taking all the time that you need to breathe in, all the time that you need to breathe out, letting everything go. And just simply observe the movements which flow through you, your length, your contact with the chair, how you observe all of that and the space around you. And that's it. It's just a very, very simple, there's millions and thousands of different things to explore, as you probably know, and lots of wonderful movements. But this is a very nice one because a lot of people who do sit a long time, sometimes they become rounded in the shoulders, and you can simply play with the relationship of the tailbone and the head. Like, for instance, when the tailbone's tucked under, the shoulders are like this. We think, let's force our shoulders back, but it's stiff. So you can just enjoy how the shoulders by themselves move, and to create a better posture and to feel more. And I don't know if that's a good example. It's
Great.
It's not a full awareness, the movement Feldenkrais lesson, but it's the start of something.
It's a great taste. Now I feel spacious. I cover the whole screen. So right. Yeah, you say something to let, instead of forcing the shoulders back, if you're spending hours in the computer, just do the movement and see how they realign by themselves. So
exactly. Gravity is doing the work for you, the forces of nature, gravity. And that's what's really interesting about the method, is working with gravity and ground forces, and how we open ourselves up to let these forces flow through us, and the nervous system reacts with them, and everything aligns much better. and moves and functions better, and there's less strain on the body.
Yeah, it's about the pleasure of being aligned in the gravity field, but not by force, but through awareness and organization. And
Yeah.
in the flow of this movement, it was very nice not to have like a rigid frame, just like a clear direction of the movement to travel around and explore through curiosity.
Yeah, you could expand on it much further. You could focus on individual joints of the spine, and you could imagine the 5 joints in the lumbar spine between the pelvis and the ribs, or the 12 in the rib cage area, or the 7 in the neck. And you could begin to move from individual joints. You can use your eyes a little bit more, or the weight off your head more, and feel how everything interconnects. And when you work in this way, sometimes problems with the eyes can relate to issues with the spine or the neck, for instance. So suddenly the eyes can improve. It's what's nice is you start positive cycles and realize there's infinite ways to improve, which is nice.
Yeah, let's strive for infinite ways to improve pleasurably.
Yeah, exactly. That's very well said.
Yeah, exquisite experience. Thank you so much, Daniel. How can we find you to get the full cake of this little taste of the cake of an ATM lesson?
Okay, so I do a lot of work on Zoom, and I'm kind of a baby with it, but I do have some packages available of recorded longer lessons. And you can find me on a blog page, like website, hathadan at Yahoo. Oh, sorry, this is my email. Hathadan at yahoo.co.uk is my email. But my website is hathadan.wordpress.com. And that's Hatha, Hatha, like Hatha Yoga, Hathadan, D-A-N, at .wordpress.com, hathadan.wordpress.com.
Easy. Go there. Hatha, like Hatha Yoga, Dan for Daniel.wordpress.com. Go there, book your classes, and have a full experience of this delight that is the Feldenkrais method. Thank you so much, Daniel, for sharing so generously with us. And
keep spreading the positivity and the good vibes and the pleasure into the world. And I'd just like to say as well, briefly, that when we can experience opening up to inner pleasure, it helps us to enjoy the pleasures outside much more, helping us to have better relationships with people, whether it's with pure love or not, it doesn't matter. The relationships improve with nature as well. We improve the relationship with our inner nature outside, and whether you do the Feldenkrais method or not, please do some good today and every day if you can, for yourself and the world.
Yeah, like we say, take the time to know your fire, light your fire so you can share the flame. And it all starts with you, with your connection to pleasure, to your life force. So thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much, Sensualists, that you're watching or listening. If you're not already subscribed to the Sensual emails, please do so. Go to www.centraldepoder.com and get yourself sign-ups for the Sensual emails to get the Sensual Sessions delivered on your inbox weekly. So take care. See you next time. Thank you so much.